Wrestlers know all about cauliflower ear. Let's get started. I said I won't talk very much today. Give you guys a chance to work on chapter three's assignment, quiz assignment, if you haven't done either or both of those. Um, and maybe just I'll touch on project one just a little bit because I think next week we'll start that in earnest. And so, I'll probably spend 10, 15, 20 minutes maybe each day at the start of each class kind of going over, the things, the parts of that that are going to be due at that particular time. I see I've got, I think 4 people have submitted their ideas for their business. A decent collection. I got one that is different fabrics for quilting. Sounds kind of interesting, right? A butcher, which, boy, talk about big time demand. Oh man, oh man. Well, the nearest USDA certified butcher is in Malta, to my knowledge. Yeah, I got a good friend that he kind of closed up his business here in town. He had a really successful business. Same thing. He couldn't find anybody that wanted to take that over. He did specialty meat products. It wasn't so much butcher, but he did wild game processing, and then a lot of specialty stuff, and really successful. And nobody had any interest in taking it over. Had some good recipes and stuff, and he still every now and then he'll put out a little bit. His wife kicks him in the butt and says, "Go make some stuff," and so we still get a little stuff every now and then. But anyhow, tow truck business, which would be, that's a decent one to start, and then landscaping. Those are the 4 that I've got. So the rest of you need to get, it's not a graded assignment, so I can see why you might put it off, but get it in there. And the main reason for that is so I can give you feedback, okay? So far, all of those sound fine. Somebody gets carried away with something that's a little too aggressive, or it might be too big, or it might be too cumbersome, I might try to scale you back a little bit or something. So that's why I want those, get them submitted so that, I can give you feedback if need be. I was just looking at them this morning, so I haven't given you guys feedback that have submitted them, but so far everything looks like it should be pretty workable. So, okay. As you go through the project, when I say keep it simple, that's one example of that. Leasing rather than buying, right? If you can lease a location, that's generally better than buying a location. If it's going to be in your garage, guess what? You're going to lease from yourself then, okay? Because you're going to have a business that leases from you personally. That would be the normal way to do that. I would kind of caution that that's, home-based businesses like that are probably one of the more common flags for the IRS to audit. So it is kind of that doesn't mean it's not legitimate. The point there is just make sure that you're doing things by the book, and then you're fine. So one of the things I talked a lot about, and I said I might show you, and I didn't have a chance to, but now I kind of wanted to just spend a couple minutes. And this will go a little bit more to our second project. I talked about market cap or market value versus book value. And just to give you an idea, I'd always mentioned Apple, and so I brought those up. Apple's market capitalization or market value is almost $2.5 trillion. Okay, Apple was the first company to go over 1 trillion, and that was just a couple of years ago. I mean, that's how fast it's growing. It's doubled then in just the last few years, and I can show you some stuff on that. It's been followed now by Microsoft has exceeded $1 trillion, Apple's exceeded $1 trillion, Google, which is actually called Alphabet now, has exceeded $1 trillion, and Amazon have exceeded $1 trillion. If you remember back in the Donald Trump days, he ran around when that happened because he said it was mega. You had Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and Apple. So had all exceeded $1 trillion. They were the first 4 companies to exceed $1 trillion in market capitalization. And that's probably worldwide. There is a Saudi oil company that may be over $1 trillion. Armico or something like that. I don't remember exactly. FINRA is a site that I go to. They changed how they did it. They did this a year or so ago. It kind of drives me crazy. I used to just absolutely love this for looking up information. It's still the best I can find, but I don't know, it seems like they went for aesthetics instead of practicality. It used to be look more like a spreadsheet, and boy, you could manipulate numbers and do some things, and it was, for me, a lot more user-friendly. It looks a little nicer now, prettier, I guess, but, we talked about PE a little bit. So it shows their PE is 25. Let me come down here because I want to show you a little something about that. This is kind of interesting. Their total returns, market's been down a little bit this year. Okay, so year to date, they're down about 12%. Okay, kind of nasty. The whole industry's down about 13, and the index, which it says is the U.S. market, which maybe just like an S&P type of a thing, is down 17%. Look at that 15-year return, 26.63%. If I do the math real quickly in my head, that means that if you invested in them 15 years ago, you double your money every 3 years roughly. Every 3 years you double your money. Okay, 15 years, so you double your money 5 times in 15 years. Okay, think about that. If you started with 10 grand, you'd go to 20, to 40, to 80, 160. You'd have $320,000 in 15 years if you started with just 10 grand. So, okay, just yeah, but the industry as a whole is not that far behind. Okay, and their industry is computer electronics, right? Consumer electronics. I'm sorry, consumer electronics. So you'd have Apple in there. You would probably still have a Microsoft, Nvidia, maybe, different names like that. There's some other key statistics. There's a PE one that was in here. Yeah, there it is. Price to earnings. Look at that, in 2020, they'd actually gotten up to 40 times price to earnings. It's kind of scaled back down now to about 25, 26. Be a little cautious if you're looking at different sites, because you might look at this one at FINRA and it says their price to earnings ratio is 25, and you might look at Yahoo Finance and it might say that it's 29. Why could it be different? You're using the same numbers. Sometimes some of these will use like current earnings, what their most recent earnings are. Some of them will use trailing 12 months earnings. Some of them will do a forward look, based on what the estimates are for earnings. And I think the one here for Apple, it says up above here that it's forward looking, consensus forward priced earnings, right? But a lot of you might click on it, it's actually what their it'd be TTM, or trailing 12 months priced earnings. Okay, so just quickly then, I wanted to get down and show you the, oops, I think I went past it, sorry. Financial statements, the balance sheet. So keep that number in mind. Their market capitalization or market value is $2.5 trillion. What do you think their net worth is, or their equity? Okay, I'm hoping it kind of shocks you here a little bit, but we'll see. I also told you we got to keep this in mind a little bit too. So cash, I said they got about, oops, hang on. I got to come down here. That's why I don't like this anymore as much. Come on. Like a bugger, I hit the wheel. That's the problem. We got to get here to current. I said, I think I told you I thought they had about 250 billion in cash. I was off a little bit. We'll show you. But their cash and cash equivalents, about 35 billion. Okay. Other short-term investments is about 28. So the total cash and cash equivalents, they say here, is just about 63 billion. That's well short of the 250 that I said, right? But if you come down here, you got to keep coming down. Long-term investments. Total long-term investments, and these are financial ones, okay? Financial assets. It does say non-current. That just means that they're over a year, right, in duration. So they've got a bunch of bonds that they've bought, probably government bonds that they've bought that are over a year in duration, okay? And they got $128 billion. They could convert those to cash in 2 seconds. Let me. That, yeah. If you got $600 in your account, yeah. Yeah, so you add it up, and they only got about $190 billion in cash, so I was off. It's probably because they've been kind of aggressively buying back stock. They've been doing that a little bit here recently, and so that's they've been using up a little bit of cash. Okay, so their total assets are about 351 billion, right? That's their total assets. We still got some debts though, right? We got liabilities, kind of come down, boom. Total current liabilities are 125, 109 or so in long term. Okay, total liabilities 288. Here we go. Accounting equity, 63 billion. Okay, and yet in a market cap they're worth 2.5 trillion roughly. So just a little bit of difference, right? But that's because they generate, if we looked at their income statement, their sales are over $1 billion in sales per day, right? They're at 387 billion per year, and their gross margins are pretty good. When you guys get those, how many people have iPhones? Yeah, more than half of you, right? So yeah, their gross margins on those are pretty good. They're selling you that thing for $1,000 or whatever, and you're probably getting it through Verizon or somebody, and so you get a little discount, but Verizon's probably making up some of that for you, to get you signed on to their plan and this and that, Their margins are really pretty good. When you compare them like to Costco, when I said their margin's like 13%, Walmart, tiny margins compared to like an Apple. So anyhow, but Walmart sells, I don't know, probably $2 billion a day in stuff, so it's all pretty interesting, kind of cool. Get used to looking at these if you guys want to mess around. If you look under Project 2, there should be a direct link right to this FINRA thing. You come here, you plug in, let me go back if I can. You plug in right here your ticker symbol or the name. Okay, so you can start typing in the name and hopefully it will find it for you. I'll give you, in the past I've always had diesel students, and they like Cummins, right? So then it gives you the ticker symbol. Ticker symbol's one of your assignments for Project 2, right? And so then it brings it up and you can kind of look at some of that stuff. So, start thinking about a company that you want to do a little research. You might want to mess around and see, if that's the company that you really want to do, take a look at some of these financial statements and whatnot, see what you think. So, okay, anybody got any general questions for Chapter 3? If you got more specific ones, I'll be happy to come around, help you with them. Like I say, make sure you understand it, make sure you do those types of things. So, okay, but other than that, I'll shut down and let you guys get to work on those things. So, oh, kind of a reminder, let's see, tonight there's a concert, right? Counting Coup is putting on a concert tonight. I think there's a poster out there. So, and then again, volleyball, we got volleyball tomorrow at noon and 6 and 11:30 and 3, I think on Saturday. So, kind of a tournament going on. I think there's other teams up here, so there's probably going to be volleyball. Just you can sit your butt down and watch volleyball all afternoon if you wanted to. So